So we are on US 380 coming out of Capitan, and we just passed the turnoff for Rob Jagger and Fort Stanton. So we passed that, we're continuing to go. We're looking for the elusive cave campground. And this is the home of the second largest cave in New Mexico. And it is not easy to find. It took me 3 days to figure this out. And as I mentioned later in the video here, thanks to Deborah Dickinson, I found out where it was. So after you get off the main highway and just follow the road down here, you'll see a fork in the road. There's one to the right, and then you see these two signs: Cave Canyon Road and Cave Campground. And I'm just going to show you what the campground looks like. There are 3 spots here, and that's it. First come, first served spots. And the cave, which is the second largest cave in New Mexico, which doesn't sound like much until you realize Carlsbad Caverns are in New Mexico. So this is a big cave. It is not open to the public right now. As we come up here, you're going to see some tall fence with, it's not razor wire, but it's certainly barbed wire at the top to prevent people from climbing over. To the right here is a gate with some stairs that go down to the entrance of the cave, and that's locked with 3 padlocks and a bunch of heavy chains. And then there's a building here on the right, which I'll show you when I'm going to get out and show you everything, but it's going to have 2 doors that say use this door to enter the cave. So I'm assuming in that building is a set of stairs that takes you down to the cave. Right now, there are 2 out of the 3 spots are occupied, and I think that's probably pretty common. So certainly during peak times, you're going to come down here and these spots are probably going to be filled. But the first one is a big pull-through site, and so is the second one. And then the third one up here by the vault toilet is kind of a back-end site. And I think in order to back in, you'd have to make some pretty advanced maneuvers here if you had a big rig. You'd certainly have to pull into this guy's pull-through spot to maneuver to back into that. So keep that in mind. And that's probably why that one's open. It's hard to get into. These other 2 are pretty luxurious, looking pretty flat, pretty level pull-through sites. I mean, I say level, but this guy in front of me has got, one thing under his left tire, so it needed a little leveling. But it's a beautiful place to camp if you can get one of these spots. And I'd love it if they open, sometime if they reopen the cave and let people go through it. I think it would be amazing. But you can see here on the left is that little hut with the 2 doors in it. That's the way the public would go in, but that's definitely all locked up. There are a couple cars parked here. One's New Mexico, the other one's Colorado, and I'm wondering if it's people doing some kind of work or something in the caves, people with special permission. But I apologize, we can't see much of the caves, but I think I got some footage through the fence there, down those stairs, so you could maybe see something. But it's pretty cool. And it's hard to get to. I'm telling you guys, I used Google and Google Maps and Garmin and tried to get here and finally gave up. And I told Deborah Dickinson, who has been in New Mexico camping for a real long time, she sent me coordinates to get here. And I will put those coordinates in the description so you know how to get here. If you want to just look at the cave, or when you get here, you find out the cave is open. I'll put as much valid information as I can find. But as I'm learning, you're in areas like this, guys, you cannot trust Google Maps and Garmin, no matter how confident they sound. I mean, this had me driving all over the area around Fort Stanton. Earlier in the day, I was out in like a wilderness area on a terribly rough Forest Service road, and I was nowhere near this place where I ultimately wanted to be. So just I advise you to use caution if you don't know exactly where you're going. And anyway, that's it for Cave Campground. So here's the entrance to the cave through the fence, and it's part of the Fort Stanton Snowy River Cave National Conservation Area, or the NCA. And the cave is currently closed to recreational caving to protect the vulnerable bat population from white nose syndrome. So these things are not entrances to the cave, but it's where the workers go to put on all their protective equipment before going in. The Fort Stanton Cave is over 40.15 miles. It's the second longest cave in New Mexico, the 10th longest cave in the U.S., and the 48th longest in the world, and the largest cave managed by the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management. Snowy River is a significant passage within Fort Stanton Cave and is the longest cave formation in the world. Today, approximately 21 miles of previously unknown passages have been mapped without reaching the end. Pretty amazing.